guys, Victoria here for Tonic Studios. Today I'm going to be creating my memories, making memories with friends die set. We're actually going to put a book together with this die set, and we're going to do it with a little twist. We're actually going to bind the book with the cinch. So we're going to do a proper full tutorial for you guys, and I'll just talk you through these dies and then we'll do section by section. Okay, so absolutely one of my favorites. Any of you'll know Memory Book 2 was my all-time favorite, will always be, but this one comes a pretty close second, to be honest. I love the shape of the book, so I'm going to flip it over and show you the other side. So as you can see, you have this beautiful ivy detail in here. Now you can use backing papers if you want to, you don't have to use the die itself. You have a spine with this die set also, but I'm going to show you today, if you're not a fan of making spines and it's not your favourite thing to do, then we can now do the spines on the cinch, and I will be talking you through that in a moment or two. You get a frame die with this set. You get different holes here so that you can lace the sides of your book if you wish to. We have a little door here, so we can have two little doors that open like a gatefold on the smaller sections. And then you have various layers then with this set, and that's what I like. I like a book with some layers because it just frames your book. And then we're going down in sizes here, so small little photo mounts. It also includes various sentiments, and then you've got this other bigger door here, so you can have a gatefold front on your book. This book is designed so that you can have a laced spine, you can have a solid spine, and obviously now we've got the cinch here, we can do a binding die with a cinch. So we've got floral elements, other sentiments there within this set. So I'm going to put this set to one side, and we're going to put our first page together. Now I'm going to be doing it in stages, okay guys, so just bear with, because I have all these elements. Right, so what I am going to do to begin with, I'm going to move all these bits and pieces to one side, and just so I have the base of the book here. So we'll put those to one side. So as you can see, the die is cut, and you're always going to put your die up to the edge of an A4 piece of cardstock. And so this spine piece here can be as long as you want it to be. Okay, and we've just trimmed it off to the score line that is indicated once you've die cut it, and we've trimmed both of those off so that they're the same. So as you'll see here, you've got a beautiful debossed pattern all the way around the edge of this, and what we're going to do is we're going to glue two back to back, okay, and then we're going to cinch the holes in, ready for when we want to put the book together at the end. So as always, I am using the Nuvo Deluxe Adhesive, the best glue in the world, and you know you'll say to me, but you're biased. It's a wonderful glue. It's the best glue I've ever used, that is for sure, and I'd say that even though just a customer. So it looks like a lot, but it's very thin because we don't want the card to warp at all. Now you could use your glue press if you have the Sweet Petunia glue press, which you now can purchase through Tonic Studios, and you could use that as well. But I just got a fresh new bottle there ready for this tutorial. So what we want to do is press firmly now to make sure that those fibres of the cardstock have adhered. Okay, and I'm using 300 GSM for this book, and you can purchase the black 300 GSM cardstock from Tonic Studios. So there we have that glued together. So it's like chipboard, Okay, and this is what we want it to be sturdy because some of these pages are going to be holding some weight. So this is where we're going to bring in our cinch. Okay, so I'm just going to put that to one side and I'm going to bring him in. Now I haven't named him yet. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to call him, but here he is in all of his glory. If you think of a name, let me know. And it is a robust machine. It's a workhorse. It will punch through your grey board, you know, like your cereal packets, those type of things. And it really is. It whacks a punch. It's quite heavy. I'm not sure of its weight, but when it's on your desk, you know it's there. So I'll briefly walk you through the machine. I've done another video where I actually introduce you to the machine, which I'm sure Leo will be putting up for you to watch soon. But basically we have a measuring guide here, and we have 33 centimetres and we have 13 inches. So if you work in inches like me, old school, you have the inches. Now you have this plastic piece that you can pull out, so you can elongate it depending on how long your piece of card is that you're working on. And then I like to call these pegs. Now I have mine set to punch the holes into the pages we're going to be using today, but depending on what kind of punched pattern that you'd like on your page depends on which pegs that you'll have working. Now the ones that you don't want to work, you just give them a wiggle and pull them, and they push in and they pull out. Okay, so I've decided today, I've centered off my page, which I'll show you here. So I've centered that off, so I know that my center point is here. So I want 2 punch holes each side. Okay, so, and that will punch out how I want it to. Now if I wanted all of them, I'd have them all in the downward position. On the side here you have a little button, and that slides up and down. Now if you've put, let's say, an A4 piece of card in, let's put a piece in so that I can show you what I mean. So let's just find a piece of cardstock. So I've put that in, and I've decided we have to release the handle there when we want to punch. So I've put my A4 piece of card in, and I've brought that handle down, and I've punched those 4. Now imagine if that was a whole row of punches, or I didn't want any punch, if I didn't want any holes here, but I just wanted to carry on. What I would do is slide your slider out to accommodate the length of card you're working on, and where this little button is here, you would want to put your cardstock in the second to last hole. So not this one, but you'd want this one here, and then you slide that in to where you see that little indent, and you slide that button down, and that piece of paper is locked in. I would then carry on, I'd lift the button, and I would have those holes there. So you can have a gap depending on what kind of binder you're using. You can go back in and you can fill those holes because they're all spaced out evenly. So let's just say, let me just write a note here to myself, because knowing Vicky, she'll forget. So I want to make sure I've got 5 to 8. Right. So I'm going to wiggle those all out. Okay. Oh, and I want to press them all in, don't I? Dear me. Right, so press all these little buttons, as I call them, little pegs. Push those all in. Okay. So now we're going to put this back, because that's your starting point, and we've got the card butted in. Bring that down, and it's cut all those holes. So I want to elongate that now. So like I said before, we want the second to the last hole. We want to line that up, bring the peg down. Okay, so he's down there, and that's locked in place now. So we bring that down, lift the peg, and we've carried on. And you can carry on and carry on depending on how long your card is. Now, as you see, I've knit that there. That's because I needed to pull that peg out. We didn't need that one. Okay, so that's an easy guide there to different patterns that you can make depending on what project or what binder you're actually putting that in. So I'm going to slide that back in, and I'm going to pull these out because I want those set ready for our book. Okay, so the only ones that I want to use, that I want to punch in my book, is 5, 6, 7 and 8. So we've got that set now. Let me pull this. Now turning it to its side, you'll see you have some pegs. Okay, these pegs hold your spring, your binding, and they just hook on like so. She says, like that. All right, and then you will dictate how many springs you need for what you're working on, and you would clip them with some metal pliers, and you would always do it in the middle of one of those square pieces. All right, once that's been done, turn the machine around, you'll see you have a bar at the back here, and there's a rubber at the bottom and there's a rubber at the top. Now this dial you push and turn to dictate where you want it. Now I know that this spring that I'm going to be using today, comes in this 2-pack here, is 1 1/4. So the binding wire is 1 1/4. So I need to set this dial to 1 1/4. So I need to bring that little dial, you see it moving, I want to bring that to 1 1/4. So that now is set for when we bring that little binding in later on. Okay, there we go. So I'll just put that to one side, and then I'm going to put him on our desk because we've just done our page. So lift that up carefully because it is spring loaded, so you know you're going to be putting quite a bit of pressure on that. And like I said before, I've measured this center point here of my spine, and I'm going to place that in there, and it will go no further. I'm going to bring that down, and you'll see there that I've got 4. So I actually want a 5th one. So I can push that peg in, I can put that back in because it will punch the same place, and bring that down, and there I will have the 5 that I wanted. Okay, so I have some of the pages that I have already put together. So we're going to place these in, and we're going to bring that cinch all the way down. And can you see there, we have them all spaced out just where we need them. So I'm going to do that on each of my pages. So I'm going to bring them in one at a time. I'm going to bring that down and cinch. And the same again. So all these pages are going to line up beautifully. Okay, so we have another 2. And don't worry about any mess, because there is a drawer at the back that collects all of the little pieces. So again, we're going to slide him in, make sure he's straight, and bring that cinch down. And again, another perfect one. And I think we've got one more, so just bear with my little crafty friends. And in we go, and down we come. And there we go again. Perfect every single time. Okay, so I'm going to put those to one side. There we go. And then we're going to shut that up now, and we'll bring it back in when we go to bind the book. But just so I can show you, there's a little tray, and then that collects all your debris in that tray, just for you to tip out and keep it all nice and tidy. So I'm just going to put Mr. Cinch to one side. Now you could bind your pages before if you wanted to, or you could bind them afterwards. It's completely up to you. I will probably tend to do it afterwards because you don't actually know how deep your book is going to be. And if you think that this binder is going to be a ring shape when it's finished, this is actually going to be the depth. So as long as you're not too tight within that circumference, then the pages will move freely. If you're going to overload it, then those pages aren't going to move back and forth freely enough. So that's why I'd always say wait until your book, you've decorated it. So we're going to go back now to our book. Right, now where have I put that now? So I start off with the best of intentions of having all the pieces that we need all laid out in front of me. There we go. So there. So now we're going to go and decorate our mat and layer onto our page. So that's our page, okay. So I'm going to use White Craft Perfect, which is 216 GSM. And this is going to be our front cover. So from that beautiful Spring Has Sprung paper collection, and guys, if you've not purchased that paper yet, it's a chef's kiss from me. Just like those Christmas papers I've shared with you recently, which were absolutely stunning, and unfortunately they've sold out at the moment. These papers, oh my gosh, these are suitable. Spring Has Sprung really doesn't do this paper pad any justice at all. It's summer, it's fun, it's adults, it's males, it's females. You've got bumblebees, you've got butterflies, you've got birds, you've got flowers, you've got stripes, you've got polka dots. I just think it's absolutely beautiful, and all those lovely pinks, mints, blues, greens, lilacs. Just, I fell in love with it, and I have got it on my shopping list to get another 12 by 12 and 8 by 8. Now you can get these papers 12 by 12. I think they're £9.99 at the moment, and I think the 8 by 8 is £10.99. Now the 8 by 8 is a little bit more expensive because you've got foiling in there. So some of the papers have got foil. I think you can get both of the sets, the 12 by 12 and the 8 by 8 for £17.99. I think they're on offer on the website at the moment, so I'm hoping they'll still be on offer when this video goes out. There's also die set and rub-ons and embossing folders that go with the set if you wish, and I think the entire set for that is £59.99, but it's a huge bundle. So definitely check these papers out, guys. I really, yeah, they're a must. So as you can see, look at that. I mean, you're hard to pick which you want to use, to be fair. So just a little bit there, and then we're going to place that down in the center there. Okay, so for the other side, we're going to have another white matten layer. We're going to go with that beautiful foiled hearts, stunning. And again, I'm going to use the deluxe adhesive all the way around and just a smidgen in the middle. because we don't want the card to warp, and if we add too much glue, that is what tends to happen. That's why if you're a little bit heavy-handed, the glue press is a great tool to have, because you're only putting a small amount of glue in at a time. You can't be too heavy-handed with it. That's also available on the Tonic Studios website. So now we've got a front cover and the inside of that cover. Now I've just realised I'm putting an inside cover pocket here. So technically I need to add 2 holes into this. Now as you can see, we've got like half a hole there. So we need 2.5 holes. Okay. So technically you could have glued that on first and then punched through all of them. But Vicky being Vicky, she never does anything the easy way. So we're going to bring Mr. Cinch back into play. Like so. Lift that up carefully because it does spring up. And hopefully when I guide this in, it will just punch the 3 that I'm after. Now we're all learning at the same time here, guys, and it did. So that is perfect because it's going to line up there on my page, which is perfect. See that? So it doesn't matter if you do it before or you do it after. So we have another one of those pockets on the back cover. So I'm going to do the same again. Now then, let me just work this out, because if that was there, that is going to be out of alignment. So I'm carefully going to put that centre point, and let's hope we get that right. So let me just double check. I should have done this before we set out, but you know, we're all learning here. We're all learning, and I've just moved that again. So let's put a finger on it there so it's not going to move. And we want to punch down. And we've done it. Well done, we've done it. There's a learning curve for us, isn't it? Right, let's move Mr. Cinch. Because it's the first time I've actually bound a memory book together, so we're on this learning curve together, guys. So we're experienced with our memory book making, but we're new to the cinch. So now I can add glue to this end of the tab, and I can add glue to the bottom of this here. So I'm going to add some adhesive there, and then I'm going to add some adhesive just to the bottom, and you know, make sure it's wide enough that it'll all grab. And then what we're going to do is stick that to there, and it all lines up. Let's move that down. There we go. And then we press down there. Okay. That's it. There we go. So that's going to be our inside page at the back. So this is going to be our outside page. So this is going to be our inside front page. And we're going to do the same again. And just add some adhesive there. You don't want to go too high because we'll be adding pages to the, adding some tags to it. So before I do that, that's going to be my inside cover. Now I've actually lined all the way down. Now if you want to and you want to save paper, you can trim this off, okay? But I've gone in there and lined the whole thing. I'll add some adhesive there, and we'll put that one down there. I'll make sure I'm in shot, guys. I apologise. There we go. So that's the inside of the book. Now I'm not actually adding any ribbons to close this. It's just going to be an open and close book. But at this point you could add your ribbon here if you wanted to. Or should we add ribbon? Should we add ribbon? Oh, go on. Let's be a devil. Let's be a devil. Have we got the ribbon still out or have I put it away? That's the main question. Have I put the ribbon away? I'm sure I hadn't. I'm sure it was still out. Nope. Maybe we won't be having ribbon then. I don't know what I've done with it. I had it out, but it's gone and hid from me. So no, we're not going to add ribbon today. But if you wanted to, you could put your ribbon here. Okay. So now we're going to add. I'll just add a little bit more glue. I don't know. Vicky can't make it. I can never make my mind up. You know what I'm like, guys. Right. So then that goes on there. There we go. And you know, like we've had memory books in the past that put the holes in your spine and you're having to do each page. Well, you could actually just put these holes in and lace with ribbon as well if you didn't want to put the book binder on it and you didn't want to cinch it. It's completely up to you. So now we have a panel somewhere that we have cut for this. So we've got a white layer and we've got some of that gorgeous lilac-y stripy paper. Why not mix all these patterns together? It's fun, and this is what memory book making is all about. It's all about having lots of fun, not finding it too stressful. This is your place to escape, really. So we've just die cut that whole shape and then we've trimmed it down for our pocket. Okay, and that will then go on the front of our pocket like that. Now if you wanted this to be a secondary pocket on there, you'd just put glue around the edges like we did before so that you could tuck in a little tag at the front. And we'll do that. Shall we do that? Why not? Let's be a devil. I hope you've got the custard creams and the coffee ready. There we go. So we're going to place that down there. Okay. Get any glue, just wipe it away, but it will dry clear. So there's no problem there. And it just dabs away. You catch it early, but it will dry clear if you don't. There we go. And we'll wait for that to dry and then we can tuck tags in the front and tags in the back. So let's get back to the front cover because that's the second cover. So we're going to place this on here. Like I said, if you're going to add ribbon, add this under this layer here. But my ribbon seems to have gone walkabout, so I have no idea where it's gone. But there we go. Best laid plans. It wouldn't be a Vicky video unless I've forgotten something. There we go. So I'm going to place that down there, making sure you've got an equal border all the way around your book. There we go. And now for the front cover, we're going to make a frame. Now in the set there is a little frame, and it cuts this out like so, and you're just going to score it on all your score lines, and you're going to fold in. So I'm going to place adhesive on the shorter fold and then fold that in. Now this frame can be made smaller if you want to make it smaller, because you've got measuring guides on the back here from 1, 2, 3 to 4. So you could make this frame shorter if you want to. Now I'm just going to fold mine and press down there to get those fibres broken down, and then it just pops up like so. We want to do that on all 4. Okay, there we go, and then fold that in. And use your desk to press down to get a firm grip of that glue going on, and then pop the frame back up like so. There we go. There we go. A bit gung-ho with the glue, and then squash that one down like we did the others. There we go, and then pop that up. You pop it back up into shape. That will help when we put it all together. So last one. I love this little frame. It's so useful because it's useful for your card making as well as your memory books. Even to frame something on a box lid, or even to make a project where you're placing photos inside and you're joining them together for a bit of wall art. There we go. So you'll see here you have a little glue tab. What I tend to do is place a little glue on the back inside like so, and then I'll put glue on the tab. Okay, and then that way when you're butting the next one to it with the pattern up, you're grabbing that glue tab there and then you're sliding it inside the next one, and you're just going to hold that until you know the glue has grabbed. Okay, and then we will move on to the next section, and I will repeat each section exactly the same. I just put a little bit of glue on the inside just so that it grabs, and then find that pattern on the top, put the glue tab in, and then slide the frame to it. And then if you've got 2 on the go, then just be mindful until they've dried. So I'll just keep a hold. There we go. And then we'll go on to this last section. I'll just hold that a little bit longer. Okay. You do have to just hold it for a little bit. You'll take more time with yours because you won't be making a tutorial. So again, I place a little bit of glue there and there, some on the top, and then this one we want to add the glue before we take it to the end one. So a little bit there and a little bit there, and then you want to slide this in like you did before, but not press it in until you get this other end in, and then you want to kind of slide that one in, slide that one in, and then they both go in at the same time, and just pinch them and hold them until you know you can move on. Okay, there we go. And we're going to place this on the front of our book, so you can either go square on or we can go at a jaunty. So what do you think? I'm thinking jaunty. Yeah, I'm going to go jaunty. Now if you want to, you can place this on the same colour cardstock or white cardstock and make a different coloured frame in the middle, but I'm just adding a sentiment to this centre, so it doesn't matter. But again, I'm going to place adhesive on the back of this frame. Okay, likey so. I'm putting a bit on there because it's quite a thick frame. And then obviously we want to centre point it and not drop it like we just did. And then place that on the front of your book. Okay. Now if you wanted to go over this design here with some gilding wax to pull out that design there, that would look lovely as well. And then we've got a sentiment here, making memories. Okay. So I'm just going to add a little bit. This is where your glue press comes in extremely handy actually, guys. When you've got finer, smaller sentiments. I need to put some more glue in mine. Oops. So we'll just add a little bit of glue on the back there. There we go. Just tickle it. And then we're going to add that to the backing plate, because you do get the backing plate in the set as well. And then just press down there. Now I am actually going to add a 3D foam pad to the back of this. So these are the Nouveau foam pads, which we would be lost without. And I love these little square ones because you can cut them down if need be, which I am doing there. Make sure it's fully supported. And we take the back off. There we go. Put that one down there. And I think just for good measure, we're going to put that one down there. There we go. Right, so we're just going to place this in the centre of that frame. Okay, get rid of our debris. And then here I've got a lovely little vine, and I'm just going to place glue down the centre point of that vine, just underneath there, and I'm just having that just across the frame there, and just press till you know it's done its thing. And then I've got some little flowers that I'm just going to place across there. So the wet adhesive again, and I'll find my tweezers this time. There we go. And I'm just going to place that onto the frame, so it's not actually on the mirror card, because when you're pressing anything on mirror card it takes some time to dry, doesn't it? And then I think we're going to have that one there. I think we'll only have two. We normally do things in threes, but I think we're going to have two for this one. And then I'm going in again, and I'm going to glue that round about there. Now you can go in now with your Nouveau drops and add some drops and let those set, but I would do that probably at the end and then leave it overnight to dry. So if we go in with like a little yellow drop there, it brings out the yellow with the bumblebee. So that, once that's dried, that is our front cover. Now we're going to flip it carefully, because obviously I've just glued those on. and we're going to add some tags. Now if you buy the papers, the Sprung collection, you get the tags in the front of the paper pack, and this is from the 12 by 12. So I'm just going to slide some of those in like so, and then we're going to put a cheeky one in the front there because we made a front pocket, and then we're going to add these taller ones to the back pocket there. And there we have the front cover and the back of the front cover. And I think we're going to have this sentiment so again, just tickle it with some glue and then press down on there, and then we're going to have that in the front there. So do I want to add foam pads? I think I'm going to add it with some foam pads because I can. I don't add an awful lot of foam pads when I'm doing memory books, but with this one I think I'm going to. And we just want that in the middle there. Make sure we're straight. And that is our front cover and inside cover made. Okay, so now we're going to go on to the next. And then at the end we can bind it all together. So, next page. Let's have a looky. I was having this one as my next page. I'm not sure I was, so let me just double check. No, I wasn't having that as my next one, was I? I think we're going to go to the next one. Yes, we are going to go to this next one. Right. Wow. Lots cut out here. Okay, so we have that other frame. Do I want that as my next layer? Hang on a minute, because I moved all of my layers around earlier. I don't think we are. I don't think we are. We're going to go for this next layer. That's right. That's right. We get there in the end, guys. I do apologise. It's because I moved lots of different bits and pieces around earlier and then got them back in the wrong order. So that's for that, but that's it. Okay. Right, we're good to go. We're good to go. So, next layer. So this is going to be after your first page. So, like we did before, we have a matten layer. We've gone with this beautiful, it's like a duck egg blue minty type of colour. It's stunning. And on the other side you've got florals. So I'm going to glue these two layers together. All right. There we go. There we go. And we're going to use this as our layer. So what I've done is I've cut this smaller layer, and when I say to you always butt this up to the edge of your card and leave this free, it's so that we can choose how long we want this to be. So for this one I wanted to make sure that that was centered on to that matten layer. So we then put a score line to the edge because it's going to wrap around underneath that layer. And then we've done the same again. We've gone one over the top, and then we've decided to put the score line in here, and they will glue on the back like so. They will be held together with a magnet under here and on here. So we're going to go ahead now and we're going to glue those in place because that's where I'd like them to be. And put your adhesive on that side and glue down. And then we want to do the same on the other side, like so. and glue down. You are then safe to glue this to your page, okay, which we're going to do now. This is why when Jodie's showing you the memory books and she says work on your mat and layer, it's so that if you decide to change your mind on order of pages, you can. Now if you've put your book together and you've gone straight onto your page, and then you've gone, oh crumbs, I didn't want that on page 3, I wanted it on page 5, it's all out of order now. At least when you're binding your book, you've got all your pages laid out in front of you before you start to bind. So that's a bit of a coup. Right, so let's get rid of the sticky tape, Vicky. So now we want to put a magnet underneath here, and then we want it to attach to here, okay? So I'm going to put a magnet there. Now sadly I don't have any Tonic magnets in my craft room at this moment in time. They sold out and I've not been able to get any, so they are on my shopping list. My shopping list is getting longer by the day. So we're just using a little bit of red liner, okay? So, but if you've never tried the Tonic magnets, boy, they're strong, and they come with a little sticky adhesive sticker on, so you're not messing with red liner. You just peel it off, stick the magnet to it, and away you go. So we're going to stick that down there. So we're going to stick a piece of red liner to the top of that magnet there. Just going to trim that excess off because we don't need that. Let's put that away somewhere. That red liner just sticks everywhere, doesn't it? So take the adhesive now off this magnet and then bring this over, press and lift. Now you've got your magnets where you want them to be. I'm not going to put a magnet under here to hold that down, that'll be fine as it is. So I have done some mat and layers, so if you can imagine your photographs mounted on there. We have to be very careful with photographs because of copyright, etc. So that's why you see the design team's books with a blank area for a photo. It's just to give you the layout, you know, and the make, but we can't put photos in, unfortunately. So let's glue that down. Now I'm hoping my charging cable isn't in the way, and I am going to take it out because I was filming the other day and you could see it. So yeah, we're all still good to go. Brilliant. Right, so now we're going to add this layer. Now you could add a little pulley to the edge of this little book. So what I mean by that is you could add a little thing here so that you can lift it up and back and forth, or a little piece of folded ribbon. But as Vicky cannot find her ribbon, oh, there it is. We found it, guys, we found it. Too late to put it on our cover, but we have found it. So what I mean is we could put a little loop just there so that you've got something to pull the page up with. So we might do that. We'll get some red liner and I'll cut that down. I have got some narrower red liner somewhere, but there we go. We're on the hoof. We're on the hoof. So just above that magnet we're going to go. I'll make sure we've got enough hanging out. And then we're just going to stick that down there. And you know what, I'm going to put that extra piece on the edge just because I've got it cut. And then I'm going to take the red liner off. And then we're going to cover all that up because we don't like to see the workings on anything, do we? So again, going to add the glue all the way around there. There we go. And then we're going to place that on there. We've got a few of these little layers. I just think it just finishes it off lovely. So again, glue on the back, all the way around, a little bit in the middle, and then we're going to place that down over the top, and then that hides all your workings there. Press that down, and then we've got one more to add on the inside of here. So again, we'll do the same again, sticking with the same colours. There we go. And again, just kind of a rinse and repeat little folded book. Okay, and then because we've got that on the front there, haven't we, we're having this one on the inside. There we go. And then all the way around, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And then we're going to place that in the middle. Now I am not pressing down until I know that that's in the right place. So that's great. So now I'll press down and put it in place. Okay, so that will fold that way, and then this will fold that way. Okay, so as you can see, this is going to be the front of our book, and so we've gone with that gorgeous little bird paper there. So that's going to be the front, and then you've got that little ribbon lift to lift the flap open. So we're just going to place this beautiful paper, absolutely stunning. I just think this paper is so versatile for birthdays, summers, springs, any type of occasion. If you love your pastels and you love the birds and polka dots and stripes, I just think this is an awesome paper pad. So then we're going to place this on there, and then we've got a nice little flap book, I want to say, on there. And then place that down on there like so. There we go. Now, in your Sprung collection, in the 12x12, you get these sticker sheets, and I think they're awesome. So I don't know what I'm going to put on here actually. Let's have a little look. Have I cut anything for that one? Not yet. Right, okay. What shall we have on there? Shall we have a sticker, or shall we not? I think, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to bring this little heart in. Now, this is from the 12 by 12 sticker sheet, and I've put it on some card to make it more like chipboard. And what I'm going to do is, she says if she can find all of her tools, and I had a white one, I'm going to use the crocodile. Now, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the crocodile. I've had this in my stash for more years than I can remember, to be honest. But I want to punch a hole in here. So I want to punch this smaller hole here, which is 1/8 of an inch in diameter. And I'm just going to freely punch a hole in the corner. See how easy that was to punch the hole. And here I have a little eyelet. Now they come in different colours. You know, you can get these in a wide variety of colours. But I've gone with a white. I did have a lilac and a pink one, but I think we'll go with white. And this little eyelet fits inside that little hole there. And then you'll see it's kind of poking out at the back. Well, this little section here, it turns and rotates, okay? So you have a B, you have an A, you have a D, and you have a C, okay? Now that is a small eyelet, so we will need it on C. And then this one here is numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So I'm going to have mine set to 2. And I'm going to push that in. And it has written on there base, and that's the top. Now, when I place this in, I'm going to be putting that little sticking out prong through the middle of that brad eyelet. Oh, she says, it's not as easy to show you, is it? And many of you be familiar with the crocodile, but many of you have maybe never used one before. So we want to put that little peg that I said to you before in the hole. And then we want to press firmly. And when you do that, it folds the metal back at the back. And it gives you a nice eyelet then to thread your ribbon through and give you a nice professional finish. Okay. So that, I dare say, some of the girls on the DT might actually do a tutorial for you on that one. Because we're all trying to bring you some different content. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to thread some ribbon through there. It just leaves a nice finish around your hole, so you're not actually having just a bare hole there. And we can have this just as a tag, but I'm going to trim this off with some tails, and I'm just going to have that on the front of there with a couple of foam pads, just to add a little bit of dimension. But I'm sure the girls will be with you with some more demos on that. So we're going to put that at a jaunty angle. Okay, so there's your flip and your flap to add your photos and your journaling. I say journaling, it's very important to do journaling for your memory books, because you'll all have precious photographs and you don't know who some of the people are. So if you can ask grandma, granddad, great grandma, auntie, uncle, who these people are, and write their names in, who those people are to you or who they were in the family. It's so nice then to hand down through the generations, because once you've made these books, they will be treasured. They will be treasured for a very, very long time. Okay, so now we've got that side done, we're going to flip him over and we're going to do the other side. So just like we did before, we have our mat and layer, which is going on here. Okay, and this is what I love about a book that has layers. It really then frames everything, you know. So this one is going to be, see how we've made the score line, so we've got that elongated piece there. This is going to snuck in behind the back, and this is just a single flap, okay, on this side. So I'll wrap it around that, or wrap it around that. We're going to wrap it around that one, so that's more central. So I'm going to add the adhesive to that flap. Okay, and then that is going to be glued to that, but we want to add a magnet to this underside, but we also then need to add a magnet underneath here. So we're going to get our 2 magnets again, she says, and not grab 3. There we go, 2 magnets. Going to go in with our tape again. Okay, and then we're going to add tape to 1/2 of that. This is where Vicky gums up her scissors. Okay, there we go. And now we're going to place a magnet around about there on the reverse. Okay, we're going to flip it over, and then we're going to add the magnet like so. So it's found its way. So we want this to be glued to the underside. So place the magnet there, add the tape, remove the tape, there we go, get rid of that pesky tape, and then press down. Okay, then when you bring him up, we're going to cover him up. So we have cut another one and we've trimmed the edge off, and he is going to go over that edge there. All right, so it still opens and closes quite freely, and we'll double check that now. Yeah, that's fine. So we want to glue that down. It's always so important to hide the workings. We don't want to see that, do we? So I'm going to bring that up towards me, and then press that down where it needs to be. And it will bulge a little where you've put your magnet, that's perfectly fine. If you don't want it to be so prominent near the edge, you can bring your magnet further in. So let's press that down now. And then we've got some decorative paper. So again, I'm not adding a pulley to this one, but you could have added a pulley before we glued the 2 pieces together. That's not a problem. So what I'm going to do now is add that beautiful butterfly paper, and we're going to add it to a mat and layer. So this paper has the stripes on the back, and there's no right way or wrong way. So he's going to go on there like so. Okay, so let's do that now. I hope you're all still with me and I've not sent you all to sleep. It's quite a lengthy video, this one. So then we bring that one down. and then we're going to put that in place. There we go. And then we're going to stick that one down there. Now, as we've done previously, we're going to make sure that the inside looks just as nice as the outside. So at this point, we can glue that to your back panel, your white layer there. So again, this is why I say wet adhesive will be your best friend, because it's easy. But once it's glued, you know. So it's going to have that longevity, because this is something that you're going to be passing through the family, whether it's for a celebration, whether it's for a loved one, you want them to remember things. It could be your grandma, where she remembers things from a very long time ago, and you want to put those down in a book for her. So there we go. So then that can be glued to the back of the other side of that panel, which we're going to do now. So many different things you can do in your book, from all the different flaps to your waterfall cards, your waterfall cards that are not waterfall card, but they're very similar. Just so many different things. Right, so that's down there. So we want to open that up. So we want to cover the inside here. Okay, and we also want to cover the inside of that middle there. So we've just got a nice border with the paper. So again, bring that down, add that to the book. There we go. And then add that one down. There we go. And then we want to add this to the lilac layer. And this is Craft Perfect, by the way, guys. The white is Craft Perfect and the lilac is Craft Perfect. Papers are Sprung, and the base of the book is Tonic's 300 GSM cardstock. So before we stick this layer down, we want to make sure we're covering it, because we don't want it skewy like that, do we? We want it bang in the middle. There we go. There we go. And then place him down there. Just double check before we press. Happy with that. Down he goes. Okay, so there's another place for photos. So we have a little sentiment here which says together. So I'm going to add a little bit of adhesive to the back. There we go. And of course we're making these pages up, but we can put them in any order we want to before we cinch them. And that's the beauty, you can change your mind if you're not happy with the layout. So put that little sentiment together there. Press that down. And I think we're going to have that off the side there, so we can use that as a pulley. So glue on half of it. Okay. Make sure it's straight. And then there you have a pulley to lift that page up. Okay, so that is our second page to our book. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the next page. So what have we got here? So again, we have our mat, and we have our mat on the other side. Let's move everything out of the way. So we have a pocket. Now, instead of going across the bottom with the pocket, we've actually gone from the side for this one. So we've got a side pocket, okay? And then we've got the matten layer with the paper. Which way were we going? Floral. There we go. And then for this top layer, we've gone with some polka dot. So we didn't need a full page. That's where we've saved paper. We've gone in with just over a half. So that's where you can save paper, where you have a pocket, guys. So don't waste all your paper if you can't see it. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put that page together. So let's put this mat on. Okay. Again, equal card all the way round there. And then we're going to add this polka dot to the top section. Okay, making sure we've got a nice border top. And then this is going to be the page, so we only require glue around the 3 sides, not this top edge. So again, nice little help in there. Okay, down we come. I always do a double layer. Don't want it lifting. Still lots of room to get things in here. And then we're going to bring that down and then press on the sides and the bottom. Okay. There we go. Then we've got that matten layer where we've cut like half a sheet and trimmed it to our pocket, depending on how deep we want the pocket. So we've got those layers again. And we're going to add that. Like so. And then we're going to go for a solid pocket this time. So we're not going to go for a double pocket. And again, I'm going to lay that down with an equal border, like so. There we go. And then we're going to let that dry before we put our tags in. So we're going to flip him over and we're going to do the other side. So there's a matten layer again. Now we've got gingham. I don't know where I was going with this page, I don't think. Was it just a matten layered page? It might have been. I can't remember. But if it was, we've got that the wrong way round, haven't we? So bear with, guys, because Vicky can't remember what page layout she was doing for this one. I think I might have gone that way to change the pattern up a little bit. I think that was it. And I was going to go in with this little tag. And then this is a tag from the 12 by 12 sheet. And we were just going to tuck it in that corner there. That's what we were going to do. I think we cut that out just in case. That was it. It's coming to me. It's coming to me. Oh dear. Was there cutting away. Cutting away. And I change my mind like the weather. I'll cut something out. And then when it comes to putting it together, I don't know whether I want that there. You get so many ideas. Your head's just full of ideas, and then half of them that you don't go with, and you do something else. So this is just going to be quite a flat page, this one. There we go. Yes, I did. I changed the orientation so that it was just something a bit different. Right. So we've got all these matten layers. So we've got this rainbow effect going on. There we go. And then I'm going to place that on there. An equal border. Then we're going to go with the next one. There we go. And then that's going to go on that way, just so we have a different look. Just creating interest for each page, isn't it? Something different. That's the way. So we want that in the middle. Now you could have put that on a hinge so that it lifted and there was something else underneath. But I'm just going with a flat page. You don't want every page to be too bulky. So we've got that there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to place adhesive just on this corner edge here so that it lifts. Okay. I don't want to put a foam pad. I just want that edge. Just like that. So I'm just going to hold that for a couple of seconds. Let that grab. And then that just has a little edge then where that tag will sit. Okay. Again, it's just adding a little bit of interest to a page. You could have a little photo mount underneath, and you could have journaling on the back of this tag. Okay, so that's just something a little bit different. So that's our page. So here then we will add our tags. So that's one that was in the 12x12 papers. These are the ones that are in the back of the sheet. And then we've got a little sentiment there, it says family. So we're going to adhere that. I think I had actually added a little book, so we'll see if that fits. I'm sure we'll fit it in somewhere. Right, so we've got family there. So I think I'm going to have this vine and then that. Or are we? Are we? Will we? Won't we? No, I don't think I do. I don't think I do. So I'm just going to have family on there. See, told you, change your mind like the weather. Okay, so that is the next page done. So there's our 3 pages. Okay, so you can see it coming along now, and it's getting quite weighty actually. Now this is our next one, and then we've got the back cover to go. So I'll see if that little book goes together later. So here I've cut a strip that is going to be as long as the centre of my page. So let's move all this stuff out of the way. Once we've done another little frame there as well. So here we've gone in, let's turn him round, we've gone in with the matten layer that we've been doing throughout the book, so it all matches. And then we've gone with this stunning floral paper. Oh, I love that. so lovely. The screen doesn't do it justice, honestly. So here we have a strip, and it's the length of that matten layer, and it hooks top and bottom. And we're just going to decorate that strip, and then we're going to put a pile of cards behind it like they were holding some photos. Okay, so it's like a little belly band. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to stick the matten layer on. Okay, and that one goes on there, like so. And then we're going to hook this band around the centre at the top and around the bottom. And then we're just going to glue that in place. Up to you how wide you want your strip. You can have a narrow one, a wider one, up to you. It could be 2 strips and it buckles and fastens in the middle. There's just so many different things you can do. And then of course we've done a matten layer here with that lovely butterfly paper. And if you hadn't gathered already, Vicky loves these papers. Just so pretty. And they feel, and they look chalky as well, which, you know, as you know, look quite expensive papers as well. They're not the glossy magazine type papers. Tonic don't do those papers in their paper pads. So now we're going to add this to that strip. There we go. And then this is going to be stuck to your page. So again, I mean, this is just an idea for you for page layouts. If you're someone that kind of, I'm not quite sure, or if you're a starter and you've not made any memory books yet, but you want to, and you're just frightened of taking that first step. I've been there. You know, Karen will tell you the first time I was asked to do a memory book many years ago now. Oh dear. I had jelly beans in my tummy. I thought, no, I can't do that. I've been card making for over 10 years at that point, and now 20 years on. But I'd never done a memory book. So the thought of it absolutely filled me with dread. And a lovely lady called Edna Taylor, and you'll remember Edna, she said, Vicky, you can do it. And I did. Thanks to the support, and that's why we're here. This is why we're here, to support you if we can. If you're worried about, you know, something new and you're not sure where to start, you can always ask the design team. They're always on hand. You might not be able to get them straight away because obviously they do this in their spare time, but we are there to help. So we've just done some matten layers, and I think these were, I want to say 3.5 by 5. I'm not sure. I will just double check in a minute. So where's Vicky's ruler? Let's have a little look see. So the black layer is 3.5 by 5. Okay, so you want that to be 3.25 by 4 3/4 for the white, and that's in inches. Vicky is old school, she works in inches. Right, so these are just matten layers. You could punch a hole in them if you wanted to, that's up to you, but they are just going to now slide in here like so, one after the other, like that. Okay, so then we're going to work on this other side. So again, we have, I don't know why we've got this frame. Have I added too many? Not enough? I don't know what we've done. So what we're going to do, we're going to go with a frame or a pull out. What would you like at home? Would you like a concertina pull out or a frame? I have a funny feeling you're going to say to me concertina pull out. So do you know what? That's what we're going to do. Right, so we're going to go with that matte and layer. Right, now let's have a little look-see, see what we've been doing. So, yeah, we need 4 of these, okay, so they're just your layers. And then we've got 4 of these, I think. Let's have a little look-see. Yeah, so we've got 4 of those with, we've got 5 of those, 4 of those with your glue tab. Now what we want to do is have them concertina, so we would hook one around the front like so. So we're going to do that now. We'll do it bit by bit. So this glue tab, and it doesn't matter that it's a big glue tab, that is going to hook round this one. Okay, make sure you're central there. So line him up and think, yay, he's good to go. We'll go there. Okay. Then we want another one. Move that out the way. So then you want another concertina. Okay. So we'll go that way. So again, we're going to add adhesive to this glue tab. And we're going to add that one. And then you could lay them over the top to make sure you're in the right place so it all lines up, and then press it together. And don't worry, we're going to line it and we're going to add magnets to it. So already you've got like your centipede, as I want to call it, caterpillar. I don't know. There we go. So then we've got another glue tab here, and we want to glue that the same as we've done the others. So we're going to add adhesive to this glue tab here, and then we're going to centralize this glue and glue that on top so that they're all stacked on top of one another. Okay, so it's like a spring, but what we're going to do is we're going to add magnets to hold these closed, and then we're going to cover them up with the blank ones. So I've got my magnets handy, so let's get this red liner tape and a fair few magnets here. So let's add that one. Okie dokie. Now we're probably going to get red liner everywhere at this point, but there we go. So you've got that magnet around about there. Okay, so this magnet is sat on top. So what we want to do is add the red liner to that one. Take the backing off like that, and then close him. And he will come from that one, like so. We then want to add more magnets. So not only when you pull that one up, this one will be adhered to this one. So we want to add a magnet to here. So we've got a little bit of tape left there. We'll utilise that piece of tape, Victoria. Why not? And then we get another magnet, and then I'm going to add tape to the back of that magnet, and then we're going to stick that one down, and we're going to go out there with that one. Okay, so let me get rid of all this little red bits of red liner tape, and then we're going to add a little bit of tape to this one. So red liner on there, Just tidy that up, remove the tape like so. Vicky, move all the tape away before I get stuck to everything. Oh, it's static, that stuff, isn't it? So now you have that magnet. So you want to bring this section to this section and press down. So now that has a magnet. And then the last but not least is this section. So we want another 2 magnets. We want another little bit of red liner tape. Okay. And then a little piece on this side. There we go. And then we want to add another piece to this side. There we go. And then that one will stick to that one. So throughout, you've got them all sticking to one another. So this strip here, we can snip away because I'm having that flush to the book. So let's cover up our magnets. Now I don't actually need those coverings because you could cover them if you wanted to. I think we will, because we've cut them, haven't we? We've cut them, so we'll utilise them. So you want this section gluing on here. Just leaves a really, really neat finish, and this is what we're looking for. So you can go over with your precision tool and get the card to break the fibres down and stick to one another. So that's one section. We're then going to repeat and do this next section. There we go. And then we're going to lift that up so that we can cover that magnet up. There we go. And then we are going to stick a matten layer on and decorate it. But you've always wanted to know how I do these concertina pieces, and this is how we do it. So of course we want to cover this one up because we want to cover that glue tab. So we want to add adhesive to this section as well. Okay. And then pull that one out, getting the right way round. That's it. At this point you can fold it out so that you've got something to press to. Okay. And then as you can see, we've got 2 sections here that we need to cover those magnets up. There we go. And again, just line it up so it covers all of the base. There we go. Then this last section, same again. There we go. And then we want to go down there, just like so. And then we're ready to decorate. Now just press that a little bit more. There we go. Get those fibres broken down. So now you've got all of your workings hidden apart from those 2. So let's have a look now. So we've covered that section, we've covered that section. So we've not covered those 2, and I've not got those cut, I don't think. Let me just have a look. Is that that size? That's that size. We're going to go for it. There we go. So we're going to cover that one up as well. There we go, back down there and press down. I think we've got one more layer here, so we'll trim that down, just cutting that glue tab off there. So then we'll cover this one, and then we've hidden every single bit of workings there. We don't want to see those raw edges, do we? Make it neat and tidy. It does make it quite chunky as well, this. So again, we're going to go with our precision tool, breaking all the fibres of the card down so that they're well stuck together, leaving a neat finish front and back. And as you can see, when you concertina it back and forth now, it all sticks together with the magnets. Okay, so you could have a little handle there that lifts it if you wanted to, but we're going to be sticking this directly into the book. So let's just make sure we're the right way round. And then this top layer, we're going to be adding a decorative little layer there. So we're not adding a matten layer as such to that. So I'm going to place glue on the back of that. And that was going to be then the front of the concertina. Like so. And then as we open it, we're going to have white layer, like so. So that's the front and the reverse done. And this other side. And then when you're opening this up, that side, there we go. You've just then got to work out what you're going to be seeing once that's glued down. So we will be seeing that, so that will need to have a layer added to it, like so. Okay, and then that will be stuck down, so we need one on here. Oops. Fingers and thumbs. So that goes on there. Oh, I'm knocking everything over now. So then you're going to be seeing this side here. So have I got a layer cut for that? I think we're going to go lilac for the base. So something a little bit different for the back. Once you open it, a little pop of colour. We've then gone with a white layer. There we go. I knew it all made sense when I cut it. So that's that. So now this all concertina's closed, and then this is going to stick onto our layer in the center there, and then we're going to add a sentiment. So let's glue this. Okay. add this to the actual page. There we go. And have a fair bit of weight on that, so I'll have a little bit more glue. Okay. And then we're opening that way, aren't we? I mean, we could open that way, it wouldn't matter. We're going to have it that way. Yeah, we'll have it that way. So we're going to glue that to the base. So we're having a fair bit of glue because this is quite weighty. And then we're going to go in the middle and just press that down. There we go. And then we're going to glue this little sentiment that says "On our journey." There we go. And I think again we might have this as the latch. So I think we're going to go half glue. And we're going to go off the edge, just so we've got something to grab a hold of when we open the page. And get my sticky fingers off there. So that means that we could put something else on here. So I do have one of these vines. So do we add a few little cheeky flowers? I think we might, just for a little bit of added interest there. So add a little bit of glue down the centre of that long vine. We'll go across the book there with it. I am going to snip the end off because it will only catch. There we go. And then we've got some little flowers that I did shape earlier, but they've kind of lost their shape, so I'll just use the palm of my hand there. There we go. And we're just going to add a little bit of adhesive. Come on. My fingers are sticky. There we go. There we go. Shall we add a third? No, two's enough. And again, you'd add drops in there. So that is our next page done. So I'm just going to leave that over there till it's glued and dried. So we're on to our last page. So, yay, I hear you say. So this last page, we've got that half pocket. So we'd be going in with our matten layer. So I think we've decided on the gingham, yeehaw. I think it was this one. Yeah. So that would be going on our pocket there. We have the piece of paper and the liner for the back to match the front. So that's all we're going to do on the back. So we'll do that now. Okay. There we go. And we're going to glue that one on there. And then we're going to glue that onto the back. There we go. So that's going to be our back cover there to match the front. Here we're having our matten layer. So we've gone in with a layer here without the white. So I am just going to go freehand. and then this would go inside there, and we'll just miss that lip. Okay, so, and I add that. I must have been going to be doing an extra page somewhere as I've made another frame. I have no idea, but we can use that frame on something else. So lots of exciting products coming to Tonic Studios. I think you're all going to be super excited. Lots of tools and things coming your way. So keep an eye out for those. I'm really excited. I can't wait. It's like birthday week for me. But Vicky loves a new gadget. I love new tools and gadgets, I do. Men like the computers and things. I like my crafty products and my tools. So just gone off kilter there a little bit. I think we're glued as well. Can I move that? Maybe a little bit. There we go. That would just send my mind boggling, that would. And then this one is just going to fit round about there. There we go. Nothing too difficult, nothing too taxing there with this memory book. I don't do difficult, I don't do complicated. We all just want to enjoy ourselves, don't we? You know, and this is all about enjoyment, having a good time. So here we have some more tags. Now we've got tags that were in that 12 by 12 paper pad. So like I said to you before, beautiful papers. And then some smaller tags that were in the back of the pad. Another tag there, and we have another one here. I've got this beautiful one here, which I'm going to put on the front there. And I might add that on a foam pad actually. Why not? There we go. Just because we can. So I've got an extra little frame there that I can use on something else. So we put that there at a jaunty angle. That's the back cover. So then we would just go through to see if we were happy with everything that we've done. So here we have the front cover with the pockets inside. Then we have that lovely flip there on a magnet, so that's going to be our next pocket in. We've then got this one here where we've put a tag in the half portion here. We fold that over and we've got a tag sideways on, so that's going to go in for the next page. Then we have this page that we've put all the tags in, and we've done our concertina pull up there for all your photo mounts, and that is going to go in next. And then last but not least, our pocket there with those lovely tags in. So then we want to cinch all this together. So this is where the fun begins. So let's move these little eyelets I've got scattered about. Let's get rid of all the tape and make some space for this man of ours. Now I'm looking at that and I'm thinking that is quite deep, quite a deep book. So I might actually take a page out. So I might keep that one. I'll keep that one. I think I'm going to take that one out. I think it's a bit heavy and a bit bulky, and I think that one will work just perfectly. because I do tend to add a lot of bulk in my books. So we can add this other page to another book. So I'm going to get the cinch. And we're going to bring him back in, and we're going to turn him so that you can see these prongs across here, because that's what we need. So what we're going to do is place the square edges on the hooks. So you'll do that all the way along, and take your time. Are we all on? Not quite. There we are. Right. There we are. Now we're on. So you've got those little round hooks facing you, and the square hooks are hooked on to the edge of the machine. So what we want to do is we want, as daft as this sounds, we don't want the back cover first. So we want this cover first, and we want to hook that on. We want our next one, and we want to hook that on. Okay, so they're all hooked on, and then we want to hook the front cover on. Now I can see that that is brilliant. So now what I want to do is I want the back cover on last, but I don't want the neat side facing me. I want the inside facing me. Okay. And there we have the book stacked. So now we know that we do not require this next punch here. So we're going to hook it, unhook it. We want to cut here in half with our little snips. So I'm going to go in and snip. There we go. Disregard the rest, we don't need the rest. Now we're going to take it to the back of the machine, and I'm going to take the rest of the machine out of view so that you can see this back portion here. So with all the pages then threaded on to your book, we have already set the pressure to where we want it to be for this plate at 1 1/4. And this back portion, the square portion here, we want to place inside, but we want it at the back. Okay. So I'm going to release the arm. So take your time when you're holding it, it doesn't spring back on you. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to place the back of that binding spring, as I want to call it, to the back. Okay, and then when I'm happy with where that is placed, I'm going to leave my finger pressed against it until the machine has made contact, and then at that point I want to lean in and I want to press down. Okay, and at this point it's cinched together. And then what you would do is you would flip that back cover around, and then there it leaves a beautiful neat finish every time. Now I could have actually, looking at that now, I could have actually put that cover in that we've taken out, but this is a learning process for me as much as it is for you. But isn't that now such a neat finish? Let me just put the cinch there. So now your book will glide over those rings effortlessly, and I love it. So I'll just take this out of view I will bring that cinch back into view and press that down there. So this is the cinch from Tonic Studios. It's available online to purchase now. The My Memories Making Memories with Friends die set is also available from Tonic Studios. Spring has Sprung papers also available on the website, and obviously your accessories for your cinch also available on the website. So I'd just like to say thank you very much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure to have your company as always. Happy crafting, take care.